Breakthrough Media.
Come on, man.
You get a job and up everything. Everything, everything. This everything. Gas, water, air, everything.
Like Biden shuffling off after he makes a very incoherent speech. Well, Mr. President, and he turns around, he shuffles off. We've seen the back of his head more than we've seen the front of his face.
Remember this?
You know, Americans elected the outsider businessman president. Why? To borrow a phrase from the man himself, what do we have to lose? The economy was in the tank. Our kids were living in the basement because they couldn't find a job. Factories were closing down. Jobs in manufacturing were being shipped overseas. And in trade, China was sucking us dry. The Obama folks called it a healthy economy, but there was barely a pulse. 1% annual GDP growth was the new normal for these bozos. And President Obama even warned that Donald Trump's election would result in economic disaster for all Americans.
Pay attention to how childish he is here. He can't even mention his name. How childish. Aren't we all adults here?
Because some of those jobs of the past are just not going to come back. And when somebody says, like the person you just mentioned, who I'm not going to advertise for, that he's going to bring all these jobs back. Well, how exactly are you going to do that? What are you going to do? There's no answer to it. He just says, well, I'm going to negotiate a better deal. Well, how exactly are you going to negotiate that? What magic wand do you have? And usually the answer is he doesn't have an answer.
You liar!
Because I want you to tell your friends, don't let a friend vote Trump. So here's the deal. He can't escape the math. Now, you know, math can be kind of inconvenient if it doesn't add up the way you want it to.
Yeah, you should know.
And economists, left, right, in the middle, all say the same thing. That Trump's policies would throw us into a recession, the last thing we need. He would undermine the growth that we've had since the Great Recession.
You liar!
In the event Donald wins, I have no doubt in my mind the market tanks.
You liar!
His tax plan, in combination with his refusal to reform entitlements and to honestly address spending, would balloon the deficit and the national debt. So even though Donald Trump has offered very few specific economic plans, what little he has said is enough to know that he would be very bad for American workers and for American families.
You liar!
And then there was Paul Krugman, a Nobel Prize-winning economist, writing for the New York Times. Let me say that again. He's a Nobel Prize-winning economy, and here's what he said. The stock market will plummet and never recover from the election of Donald Trump. So we are very probably looking at a global recession with no end in sight. You know, some are so blinded by their hatred of Donald Trump that they forget decades of training in their own field.
Hey, Paul Krugman, where are you at now? I don't hear anything. Where have you been for the last 8, 9 months? I had a prediction for Trump, but Biden, you're totally silent. Nobel Prize economist. Imagine that. Yeah, some of you remember that. Now, for future reference, remember this.
Democrats are for the people and will never let the full faith and credit of the United States be questioned.
You liar!
Because we take an oath to the Constitution of the United States.
You liar!
And that is an oath that we always intend to uphold. And because we have a responsibility to the health and well-being of America's working families, and this would have a disastrous effect on them.
And last but not least, just for the record,
dear white people, you're not racist just because someone says you are. There's a theory going out there that there's this race of people that are causing all the problems in the U.S., and that is just not true. It's a blatant lie, and it's created to put races against each other. Well, I'm going to debunk something. There are not multiple races of humans. There's one race, the human race. I'm part of that race, you're part of that race, we're all part of that race, and we're a big family. And there are some black people like myself, there are lots of us that don't believe white people are the problem. There is individual responsibility. I want to be judged by the content of my character and not the color of my skin. So I'm going to do the same thing for you. I'm going to judge you by the content of your character and not by the color of your skin. If you agree with this, you're part of the human race. And welcome to the family.
Oh, buddy, I'm in trouble now.
So hell no, I don't believe them numbers. India's got the most cases, America's the most vaccinated. Of course America's the most vaccinated. It's easy to brainwash. All they gotta do is stick it on CNN, MSNBC, and Fox 24/7. Take the COVID shot, take the COVID shot, take the COVID shot. Them gonna take that COVID shot. Well, guess what? I ain't taking the COVID shot. Motherfucker here at the CDC. See, the Johnson & Johnson is back on the market because we done figured out what the side effects are. Really? How'd you figure that out? Oh, by people dying. That's how you figured it out. You figured out it causes blood clots by motherfuckers dying. So you took it off the market. Now you're going to turn around, put it right back on a month later saying, now we know the side effects of blood clots. Don't they let you know these motherfuckers ain't tested? If you'd like to continue to be a crash test dummy, go on ahead, shoot you. Shoot it. Me, I'ma wait. Why? I ain't caught shit yet. And if it is airborne, everybody done caught it already. Think about that. Like I said, if you can smell the gas from your ass through that mask, yeah. Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson. They couldn't even make baby powder without giving them diseases. Get out of here. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Go on ahead. Let yourself continue to be guinea pigs. Me, I'm opting out. See, you watch only Fox News, that's your truth. If you only watch CNN, that's your truth. If you only watch MSNBC, that's your truth. I'm watching World, I'm watching Al Jazeera, I'm watching every news. And I'm making my own news y'all watching right now. How about that?
Johnson & Johnson is adding cancer-causing carcinogens to their sunscreens? That doesn't make any sense. Or does it? Let's take a look. Directly from the J&J website, they are doing a voluntary recall of Neutrogena and Aveeno sunscreen products due to the presence of benzene. According to the CDC, it is a chemical that is colorless, odorless, and highly flammable. What is it used to make? Lubricants, rubbers, dyes, detergents, drugs, and pesticides. And according to the American Cancer Society, benzene is known to cause cancer, specifically leukemia and other cancers of blood. So, Johnny boy, why are you adding it to our sunscreens? Well, if you look at their revenues, they have $81.6 billion in revenue, and only $14 billion of that is from consumer-facing products like Neutrogena and Aveeno. But the rest of all of this is from their pharmaceuticals and medical devices. And apparently, their growth is primarily led by its pharmaceutical business, specifically their sales of Imbruvica and Darzalex. But what does Imbruvica do? You guessed it. Treats leukemia. That's weird. That's suspicious.
What is the major thing? What is the major product that every lamestream, mainstream, CIA infiltrated Operation Mockingbird, MK Ultra media outlet wants you to ingest? What product are they constantly pushing 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? Well, we already know. They're pushing the product for the big farm guy Who owns major stock? Who are the major shareholders of some of these big farm guy companies? Look what this company is right here. Mode what? RNA. Who are the major shareholders? Number 3, Vanguard Group, BlackRock, Morgan Stanley, State Street. Major shareholders of the product that mainstream media, which they're the major shareholders of, are pushing 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. How about this company right here? How about that company? Who are the major shareholders of this company whose product is being forced down the throats of everybody? Governments are getting involved, mandating that this company's product be forced down everybody's throat 24 hours a day, 27 days a week. Penalties are being issued on businesses who aren't requiring their employees to take this product 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Who are the major shareholders of this company right here, which is the same shareholders who own large portions of today's mainstream media? Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street, Wellington Management, which is also Vanguard, Capital World Investments. Look at how many shares are being controlled by these people. 456, almost a half a billion there, almost a total billion for these top 3, over $1 billion shares in this company whose product is being forced down our throats by the mainstream media conglomerates that are have a major shareholder interest with these groups right here. This is something everybody can do. So I'm going to come back to the directive, to the main directive that helps us get to the bottom of any criminal investigation. Follow the money. Key bono, who benefits?
Did you catch that? Well, I couldn't fit all of the video in, but those same shareholders he just listed are also the major shareholders of Disney, Pepsi, Coke, also AT&T, Verizon, CNN, MSNBC, Fox, and the rest of the Alphabet Group mainstream media. See, they want you to think that there is competition where there is none, and division among the American people where it shouldn't be. They're dominating at the apex of the pyramid. Capitalism is still the best system in the world, regardless of what is going on here now. We see the results of communism around the world. Socialism. That's why the checks and balances in capitalism operate best under integrity and not corruption. That's what corrects a run-amok capitalistic system. Checks and balances only appear to exist in a socialist, communist dictatorship in the beginning, but later on you find out they were never there. Fact, 8 to 9 billionaires have been made out of Big Pharma since COVID hit.
But what's unacceptable, but yet very prevalent, is this concept that these are less than human. And yes, you see it on Twitter all the time, and you see it like as if people are throwing it out there to see where their position in the clan is. They're like throwing it out there. Maybe we should throw them into the fire. You know, like, you know what I mean? It's like right, literally, and these the weakest minds and the most cowardly amongst us are espousing these ideas with no irony, no recognition of historical events that have led to people literally turning on each other. If you go back to, I mean, there's so many cases throughout history where people have chosen to dehumanize groups for whatever reason. You can come up, I mean, everybody wants to go to Nazi Germany. It's one. There's a lot of them throughout history where people have chosen to dehumanize specific groups, and it's been incredibly effective. And they've turned on them and done horrific things where they thought they were in the right. And that's a terrifying aspect of humanity that repeats itself over and over and over again. And we're seeing these little echoes of that today, unironically, from these people, and it's disturbing as
So look, we're getting all this vaccine mandate stuff, and if you turn on any news channel, there's no debate about whether we should have mandates or not. There's very little debate about whether we should have vaccines or not, you know, whether your health and your age and the foods that you eat and the medicines and supplements that you take, whether any of those things should affect whether you need to take the vaccine or not. It's all just take. Every channel is just take the vaccine, mandates are good. There's almost no pushback. We have ridiculous civil rights lawyers like Gloria Allred, who I debated a couple weeks ago. If you haven't seen it, it's on our YouTube channel, who were saying this is not about rights. I mean, we're just not even debating the basic things that used to be like absolute truths, that civil rights matter, individual rights matter. And if you wonder why, if you've been sitting there going, you know, something doesn't seem right to me, why is it that these shows, every CBS and NBC and ABC show, they all keep pushing these vaccines. Well, this is just spectacular. Who did this? I want to credit them properly because it's actually just wonderful. @_Whitney Webb, 2 B's, tweeted out this video. It's a compilation from some of your favorite news programs. Take a look.
Good Morning America is brought to you by Pfizer.
CBS Health Watch sponsored by Pfizer.
Anderson Cooper 360.
Brought to you by Pfizer.
ABC News Nightline. Brought to you by Pfizer.
Making a difference. Brought to you by Pfizer. CNN Tonight. Brought to you by Pfizer. Early Start. Brought to you by Pfizer. Friday night on Aaron Burnett Out Front. Brought to you by Pfizer.
This Week with George Stephanopoulos is brought to you by Pfizer.
This weather report brought to you by Pfizer.
Today's countdown to the royal wedding is brought to you by Pfizer.
And now a CBS Sports Update brought to you by Pfizer.
Meet the Press Data Download. Brought to you by Pfizer.
This portion of CBS This Morning sponsored by Pfizer.
On how to find the hidden sugars in the American family diet. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Must I add anything else? I'm Dave Rubin. This has been the Rubin Report, not brought to you by Pfizer.
I just have one thing to say. Hang on here.
Let's go, Brandon. Hey. Let's go, Brandon. Hey. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go, Brandon. Hey. Let's go.
Nelson out. Peace.
Gentlemen, whenever you have a group of individuals who are beyond any investigation, who can manipulate the press, judges, members of our Congress, you're always going to have within our government those who are above the law.
You've been patient, but our patience is wearing thin, and your refusal has cost all of us.
I think you all know that I've always felt the 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
Flash forward to now, when we are hearing things like this from the White House.
The president promised help is on the way. And today...
Help has arrived.
We're screwed, aren't we?
I look at freedom and I appreciate that.
Breakthrough Media.